86 seconds.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the bench. So this week we're going to start off with a very contentious debate on two-stage triggers. I'm not a big fan of two-stage triggers, so we're going to go ahead and get that out of the way. I much prefer a single-stage trigger for every single application, long-range shooting all the way down to, just fast shooting. I love the single-stage triggers. To me, they're superior. They have a better feel. I don't like having the take-up or anything like that. But we're going to talk about two-stage triggers in this video, and I know it's going to upset the entire internet. So let's kind of get to that. First of all, huge thank you to Brownells. Brownells is a channel sponsor. They did send out the Geissele SSA-E for me to review, and I'm going to kind of give it like a mini review right now. This isn't a long-term review. I've probably only got 200 rounds for this trigger. But with the LaRue MBT, I've got probably over 1,500 to 2,000 rounds in a couple of different guns with this trigger. I've used the exact same trigger in all of these guns. I haven't changed it. I don't have multiples. I did have the curved shoe version, and I did not like that, so I actually swapped triggers with my buddy who had the flat face one. And I will say, I wish that LaRue would come back out with their single stage trigger, because I do believe that that would be a better trigger. But they never have them in stock. I don't even think they have them on the website anymore. So that is one of those things. I've been using the LaRue two-stage trigger for quite a long time. It's not anything new to the channel. In fact, a lot of you have probably seen it on different builds if you've been around here at all. If not, it's okay. I like the flat-faced design of the trigger. I do like how they have that curved bow and they skeletonized it. It just looks pretty cool to me. I do like the way that looks. Now, the LaRue MBT is really nice. The MBT stands for meticulously built trigger. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a very good trigger. It's 100% made in the US. They source all the parts here, and it does work really, really well. Now the problem is it's kind of heavy for a two-stage trigger. I think it breaks somewhere around 4 pounds, and all my other single-stage triggers are 3 to 3.5 pound triggers, and this is a lot heavier than that. So it's not like for a meticulously built trigger, it's not what I would say is meticulously built. It's got a very heavy pull weight for what it is. And I've worn it in. You can't tell me I haven't, because I have. I've got about 1,500 rounds on multiple guns with this trigger, and it's not like I'm out here, shooting slow rates of fire. If you've seen any of my videos or probably watching some in the background right now, the MBT is definitely good for fast shooting, but that pull weight is very heavy, and when you're shooting and you're shooting rapidly, yeah, that's one of those things that you don't want, is a heavy pull weight. You kind of want like a lighter trigger. You want something to shoot fast. And that's what I like doing. I'm just out here to LARP. I'm not out here to do anything. I'm not out here to show you guys how to take down hostages or teach you how to be a mall cop or anything like that. I'm literally just out here having fun LARPing. And one of those things I've come across with this trigger is it's very good, but I'm not a big fan of it. It works well, and I like that it's a step up from the ACT ALG triggers, which is the Amy Lynn Geissele. Those are a single pound kind of, or a single stage kind of trigger, but they're just about as heavy as this, and I think that's why I don't necessarily love running those triggers. I have a few of them, and they're just not my cup of tea. I do like them, but there's always a better trigger out there. And when I was looking to replace this trigger, I wanted to replace it with a single stage, but then I was like, well, that's not fair. I need to replace it with a two-stage trigger to kind of see if it's just all two-stage triggers that I don't like. There are a ton of cassette-style triggers out there, and I'm not a big fan of cassette-style triggers either. Just not a big fan of that whatsoever. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the trigger that I did replace this with, and already having about 200 to 300 rounds on that trigger, I find that trigger is, well, it is incredible. It is a Geissele. It is the SSA-E, and it's just a fantastic trigger. I much prefer this trigger as a two-stage trigger over anything else. The take-up on this trigger is so much better. It's a lot lighter. Now, this is the SSA-E. The E is enhanced, so if you just get the SSA, you're gonna get a harsher trigger pull, and that is what it is. But with this trigger pull, I mean, if you look right here, that's just so light. But then you get to here. Now this is where I think the enhanced part really comes in, because I'm just barely putting pressure on this, barely, and it's incredible. The trigger on this, it's so light, and and that's what I like. I like the light triggers. Like for shooting fast, it is a good trigger to shoot fast with, especially if you like that traditional shoe. It's a very good trigger to shoot fast with. Now, it does have the one thing that I hate about all two-stage triggers, and it's that first stage. I don't like that first stage. I just like the wall. I wish they would make this with just the wall. I wish guys could figure out some magic to do that. that would be amazing. But just that wall, that first stage right there, and then till you get to the wall, you have a distinct wall, and then bam, you pull that trigger, and it's fantastic. But then you go into this trigger. This trigger has a very heavy take up. I mean, and it really is. I would predominantly say that the take up is a lot more than you would get out of even if you were just go with the SSA trigger. This trigger has a ton of take up to it, and then you get into that wall, and the wall is even heavier than the take up. It's like the wall takes up more than the actual trigger, and I don't know. Call me crazy, but it's just not a trigger that I absolutely love. It's a good trigger to shoot, and I will put it in something eventually again. But I mean, if you have the funds and you're out there and you're buying one of these triggers, if you want to spend a little bit more money and get the SSA-E, I don't think anybody can fault you for that. Now, with the LaRue, that's one of the another points of contention. They recently just did another price hike. You used to be able to buy these triggers for under $100, and now they're over $100. With that being said, I don't know if this is a good over $100 trigger, like at all. I think that there are many triggers that kind of beat it out. And I realize we did go through a whole lot of BS, and that is what it was. We did go through a whole lot of BS for a couple of years, and that's kind of price hiked a lot of things. And thank you to all the political people who made that happen. But this trigger to me doesn't seem as good as it could be. And I think that might be an issue with this trigger. So if you guys are out there and you're wondering my take on this, or if you guys are out there and you want to buy one of these triggers, I'm going to tell you, go ahead. You can buy a LaRue MBT. I think they're a great trigger, but they're subpar in a lot of categories. Now, again, if you're out there and you need a trigger on the cheap, I would highly recommend this over a cassette style trigger. I have a couple of I have a POF and a K arms. Now, I love K arms, but I just don't like cassette style triggers, and that's one of the downfalls to some of those cassette style triggers is they're not always there. They're not always what I think they should be. So go ahead. You can pick up a LaRue MBT, but I'm going to go ahead and recommend the SSA-E way more than I would recommend the LaRue MBT. And I know that's going to hurt some people's feelings. Some people get very emotionally invested in some of this stuff, and they cannot stand to see any of their products disparaged. I'm not trying to disparage your product, but I am telling you that there is a better trigger for just a little bit more money. You don't have to spend a ton, and Black Friday is right around the corner where the SSA-E regularly goes on sale for $150. So if you guys are out there, keep a lookout. These SSA-E triggers fly off the shelves super quick on Black Friday. And if you want, if you have one of these and you're not super happy with it, you can always upgrade and get a Geissele SSA-E, because I do think that it is a better trigger. Please like, share, and subscribe, or leave a comment about how much you hate me now because I said something bad about a product you love. As always, hope you guys have a good one. Be a hoodlum.
Every time.
Gotta remember to do that. It'll be a blooper, right?
Yeah.
All right, ready, and...